Hello and welcome to another Forged in Ire video. So, if you're an up-and-comer bladesmith like I am, and you're a novice to this whole craft, you might find yourselves asking the same kinds of questions that I've been asking. So, as a result of that, I've decided to make this particular video. I was looking around for a certain tool, namely a file guide. Was purchasing some other stuff for, good prices, finding the best deals that I could, because, when you're starting a shop, you gotta pinch as many pennies as possible. But I was looking around for a very specific tool, a file guide. It is a bladesmith knife maker's best friend. It helps you get straight lines, you can do really nice work with it, you can, it's small, you can accidentally lose it, hopefully not, but as I was looking around for this, I came across the listings for it. And unfortunately, when I first heard about this, I was under the impression that it was a relatively cheap item. Well, it's not anymore. So apparently the Forged in Fire boom and show did not just get people interested in bladesmithing, it also jacked up the prices for a lot of the tools. So, instead of spending $70 to $200 on an item that is about that large, I'm going to make my own. And as a result, I'm also going to film it so that anybody else who is in a similar position who doesn't have the budget or just doesn't want to spend that kind of money on a file guide can make one themselves. So, I've got a piece of 80 CRV2 steel. Now, I purchased an 18-inch length of stock for about 20 bucks. So this could make, like 6 file guides. So that, if we're just talking a numbers game, you're winning. But I only need one. I might make another, but I'm starting with one. Have a piece of 80 CRV2 steel. I've gone through and I've put my scribe lines. I have not center punched where I'm going to drill, but it took me a little bit to get the layout right so that I knew that it would look the way that I want it to when it's done. So, we're going to go ahead and drill these holes. We're going to thread them with some metric threaded screws, or metric threaded bolts. Now, these are going to hold everything together. Now, anybody who's actually looked at file guides knows that they have 2 sets of screws on either side. You have a set of screws or bolts that hold everything together, and then you have a set of bolts that tightens everything down. So, this is going to be my holding everything together set, and then I've got a drill or a tap and die set that I'm going to use to thread the second holes in this for tightening everything down. I will use the same bolt size, but only one of the 2 sets of holes will actually be threaded. So, let's get started. Hey guys, so it was at this point in my project that I was having trouble with my camera equipment and actually recording footage. Um, and I was also having trouble with the actual file guide. So I ended up quenching the file guide like 4 times in my quench oil, and the next day I came to realize that I needed to change my quench oil. So I took care of that, but because I had to change it and it wasn't actually hardening, I made a big mistake. I decided to quench it in water, and I found out very quickly that when you quench ADCRV in water, bad things happen. So I developed all this spider cracking across both pieces. The fact this one hasn't broken is kind of surprising, but yeah, if you're new to the craft and you don't already know, most steel does not like to be quenched in water, and the kinds of steel that can be quenched in water don't like it at all. They'll put up with it, but they don't like it. So just keep that in mind if you decide to make your own. So what ended up happening is I had to make a new one. I actually made this one today. I got done with it, a little while ago. The irony was I got this whole video done, and then my file guide broke. So I had to remake it so that I could finish the video. I did want to take a moment and let everybody know, if you're trying to make your own, each of these holes for the file guide are going to have to be different sizes. So what I did is since I'm using metric, I used a 5mm bolt and a 5mm tap and die set to get the threaded holes, but I did 1/4" holes on the sides for the set bolts to hold everything together, and the top piece has to be 5.5 so that it'll slide, and the bottom piece is 5mm holes with threading. So each set of 2 holes on both of these is pretty much a different size. Not only that, but since you're cutting threads on steel that's not hardened, after you go to harden it, you have to spend a bunch of time cleaning out the threads, otherwise it won't work. So it's another part that I didn't film for either of the makings of these. I would not advise to clean it out with the actual tap and die set, because you might accidentally cut the threads off. So what I did is I took one of these bolts and just kind of slowly worked it in, made sure there was plenty of tap oil or WD-40 so that any of that iron oxide or forge scale that develops from the quench, any of that forge scale that is in between the threads, as you're putting in the screws and undoing them and putting them back in, all of that can get flushed out with the oil and or WD-40. So just know that if you decide to do this yourself, you need to clean out the threads, otherwise they won't work. And I would not advise doing it with the actual tap and die set, because A, you might snap the tap off in the hole, and B, you might accidentally cut the threads in a way that they won't work anymore. So just go slow, clean it out, make sure you've got plenty of oil to flush everything out, and you'll get it. So yeah, this was kind of an obnoxious project, but it's done now. Sorry I have not gotten a video up in a little bit. I've got about a dozen knives that I'm working on right now, 2 orders, and I'm working on my website as well, and I'm editing 3 videos at the same time. So yeah, my plate's been a little bit full. So at any rate, thank you for watching. I should have the next video up fairly soon. I'm not 100% sure when it will be, but it should be soon. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe to all of these. They help the channel out immensely. Everybody be safe out there. We're all dealing with what we've been dealing with for the last year, so don't forget to wash your hands and social distance. Yeah, be safe and keep forging.